Hello. Hello, hello. I'm streaming. We are doing collage. I was trying to decide if I wanted to uh, open this stream with a poem like I've been doing for my other streams, right? Where I just turn on the camera and bam, I'm reading a poem. But obviously I didn't do that. I kind of forgot about that until like 5 seconds until I was going to start the stream. And I'm like, okay, maybe I just won't. And that's okay. I don't think it's out of place on the collage poetry stream, but didn't feel like it. Hello, broken pH meter. How are you? I'm going to stand up and grab something. Okay. I'm going to try something today. Something unusual for me. And that is wearing earplugs. I like wearing earplugs a lot sometimes just because it like dampens out the world and makes me feel kind of locked in. I've been wondering how that would make me like feel while I'm streaming to just have these in loosely, so we're doing that. We're trying that. I feel like usually I talk more softly when I have the earplugs in, which is sort of like not what one would expect. Like that when you're wearing earplugs, you would like talk louder. But I think when I'm wearing them, I can hear myself better because like I'm hearing like the reverberations like through my own skull or whatever. So, and I like the idea of talking more softly, if only because when I talk for a long time on stream, if I get like too loud, then my voice starts to get tired because I'm like pushing my voice, right? So I don't know if this is different. I can't actually like totally tell because I'm just talking how it feels normal, but whatever. Oi, hello, Leon. Uh, and that stream notification acted like a screamer, so it was loud. I don't like loud notifications. I don't like notifications in general, I think. uh, I don't like that all of these things try to like demand my attention. But, that's life, I guess. I find a lot of things, not so much. I find a lot of things in life annoying. I feel like that's where I'm like at in life broadly, is that like things will be inconvenient and things will be like bad even. And usually I'll just think that they're kind of annoying. like like the concept of binary gender in society is an annoying thing. Like the fact that like um that poverty exists in the world is like annoying. And I think I've been framing it this way maybe because like at least things that I can't change, uh if I let myself be annoyed by them but not like outraged, then maybe that's like a defense mechanism. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I was getting ready to sleep since in France it's already 5 a.m. and even I have limits. The fact that you're going to sleep at 5 a.m. is uh, baffling to me. I like sleeping at I like mornings. I like going to sleep. I don't always do the best at waking up early or going to sleep early, mostly because of this like punk band that I'm in. I need to fix this camera. Um because they make me stay up late for practices and shows and all of that, right? Um and then usually if I'm like staying up late for something, I get home and I try to sleep and then like it takes me a long time to settle down because it was like this high energy thing. So then I end up going to sleep at like 2 a.m. sometimes, and it throws off the whole rhythm. you know? I would love to like go to sleep when the sun is going down and then wake up when I wake up, which would probably be at that point before the sun is up. 'Cause that's my favorite time of day. Like I love being awake at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., you know? It's such a beautiful time. And like the world is very quiet. Because even at night, you know, people are still up late, you know, going on 1 a.m., 2 a.m. But really, like, when you get to 4 a.m., a lot of the time, like, the world really, really quiets down. So I like those times. I like when it's quiet. Maybe that's why I like wearing earplugs and insulating myself. And I don't like the noise of things and the pace of things a lot of the time. We're doing collage. Obviously, there's no collage yet because stream just started, but there is a knife and scissors and lots of paper and lots of words to choose from. Um, just randomly woke up at 4, couldn't fall back asleep, so hey. Hello, sleepy librarian. Welcome. I tend to be alive at night, probably as a way to shield myself from the real life out there. I'll have to write about it someday. Yeah, that does sound like a compelling thing to write about. I'm trying to decide today for this collage that I'm going to do whether I want to do it in the style that I have been doing, which I feel like, Leon, you haven't been here for one of the collage streams, but it's been like, you know, cutting out words from magazines, right? And like assembling them into poetry with pictures, right? And this is cool. This is great. I really enjoy doing this. These are very fun pieces to make. But I was also sort of thinking that I want to maybe do one with one of my own pieces of poetry that I've written and then incorporating that into a collage. I think that might be interesting, right? But I don't know what I would do. It would be fun because I would get to break out the typewriter, which is back there on the shelf. Oh, it's upside down, but there's a typewriter back there. Um, and maybe it would be better to go to this screen and say the typewriter is sitting right there. But maybe that's for another time. It might be for another time, I'm thinking. Which would mean that we're just going to go through magazines and find cool pictures. And if anyone sees anything that you like that sticks out to you, be like, yo, Imogen, cut that one out. Let's use that. And I think we'll just do like the same kind of free-flowing, you know, discovering. Discovering as we go, finding interesting words, finding interesting pictures, and then trying to turn those into some kind of a piece. Which means we need a magazine or a book or something to cut from. Yeah, to find some interesting words and pictures. Luckily, I have a whole box of these things. Ideally, a magazine I haven't used before. I feel like a lot of these ones at the top I've been using in multiple pieces in a row, you know? So let's see. These are like music scores. Maybe we could do a collage like over the top of a score. Maybe I want to do that. I love music and I love it visually, and I've been playing a lot of music. So maybe we'll start with a score as the base and go from there. I like that idea. That'll That's at least like the first starting point. Uh, and then something with words, ideally. Something with words. Maybe we'll get our bowl of words. The bowl of words is useful. I like the bowl of words. These are things we've cut out before, things that are interesting. And I don't know what vibe I'm going for. So as I pull these out, I feel like if any of these words are interesting, that's an I. That's Post Malone's I. But if any of y'all are like really compelled by one word or another that sticks out, I know there's a lot. New place from old. I kind of like that one. There's a lot. I'm just gonna pour these out. y'all can, look. It's a bit chaotic. I don't know how well it reads on stream, but y'all seem pretty like you usually pick things out pretty well. Scared my girlfriend. Oops. Girlfriend. What is that? Real. A female that's a friend. I'm not being fair though. There's someone I like. Gives off real middle schooler vibes. It does. Art, poetic collage, but words are notes that you can actually play as a music piece too, right? Yeah. I mean, obviously, right. If it's over top of a piece, you could arguably play the piece. We could construct entirely new pieces of music by collaging these things together. I'm not sure how well that would go, but it's certainly something that could happen. What if this would be like very subtle? It would be very, very subtle. But like maybe this isn't the right kind of music. But there's like these directions that happen within music, allegro veloce here, and andante espressivo, for example. And it would be kind of interesting to like sort of create poetry within the piece of music, around the piece of music, leaving the music intact. But I feel like that just might not work very well. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna find one of these pieces that looks like, I don't know, visually compelling. The issue is they're studies, so they're very like repetitive. They're not like good music really. Also ideally one that yeah, I don't know. They have like the numbers on them too. I don't know if I like that. I don't know. This is very black ink. I can see that one working. Ooh. This allegro with these offbeats? I'm not sure. I really don't know. You can always reconstruct the Flintstones theme. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm like that level of collage savvy to just be able to like collage pieces of music into other pieces of music. But it would be cool. It would be an adventure, if nothing else. Let's just take this page, I guess. Did you cut? Come on. Okay. That's good enough. I don't actually know if the music is gonna be the background, but it's an option. And it's good to have options. It's always good to have options. That being said, we have lots of words. I don't know if I like any of these, but we're gonna figure out how to make poetry. Flintstones themes, but you only choose words relating to sculpture. I'm not sure I understand the reference happening there. um, because I don't even know the Flintstones theme. Like, if I'm being quite honest, I don't actually know if I want to pick from these words. I might just want to go through a magazine. I'm feeling very, very fickle today. I actually feel like I don't want to make choices. And I think this is like overwhelming. So we're just going to get a magazine. This is like too many good words. Sometimes when there's too many good options, nothing's a good option, right? Because they're all kind of inspiring. Maybe like the last word left on the table will be a good one. Visible. I don't know. I don't know. I actually want to like... I feel like this piece is going to end up being about love. I kind of feel like it will be. Although I haven't even started it, so that's kind of a crazy thing to say. um, but I still think about love a lot. And someone mentioned their girlfriend in chat, so let's just find some words. This is what some kind of outdoorsy magazine. I just want to get started, you know. I think you might use a bit of chaos and grab a handful in the word bowl and get through that list. I don't know. I want to choose, but I don't want to choose, which is a bad place to be as when one is trying to like make art. Give him more. I feel like, dude, I don't know if there will be good words. There will be good words in the Gorpcore magazine. Comfort. I like comfort, actually. It's just like a single word, but that kind of feels like the vibe that I need today. Comfort. Not that I like am distressed in any way or I'm like needing comfort, but I don't know. I feel very like I'm floating in like a pool of water that's the same temperature as my body, if that makes sense. I like to journey on the first page. Yeah, let me go find journey. Was it on like the opening? Ah, the journey. Sometimes it's nice to use things kind of like all from one magazine, all from one source, because sometimes they use consistent fonts. And that can be... I'm going to take this whole piece because as I've learned doing some amount of collaging, right, I can always cut this down later. But if I take out journey and it turns out later that I want the journey, then I can't like mend those pieces of paper back together, right? They don't turn back into a single piece, and you can put them next to each other, right? You can glue them down next to each other, but it's not quite the same. I will also cut this down. Is this a pun? Right? We have an A frame here on this page, and it's a frame. A frame of mind. That's really bad. That's really horrible pun, actually. Okay, comfort in the journey, a frame of mind is kind of some ideas we have for this poetic venture. That's a good start, right? I feel like we're gonna see the word guide a lot. Workhorse outerwear for those who ski it. I'll take off guide. Guide feels kind of like comfort, you know? They have a similar feeling to them. You know, I've seen some stuff Like I've read some stuff about like how science people like analyze language for like the tone of words so that you can like analyze the text of a review and like understand whether it has like a positive or negative connotation. Um, and that's all to say that I feel like comfort and guide have a very similar level of like positive and cozy and like association with um like stability and comfort. I'm not sure. Uh I've been moved to the living room couch, but I'm back. Like how you talk about yourself as if you were furniture. Yeah, you just got like shoved over to the couch. Is it comfortable there? Is it a comfy couch? I would hope so. Give him more. Is it like a men's and then a women's section? Is this specifically a men's outdoor fashion or outdoor apparel? No. We get give her more later. Interesting. Guessing. Guessing. I like guessing. It casts some uncertainty on our comfort and guide. I do so there's like a something cropping up here which is interesting is that a lot of these titles are they're capitalized, right, on the first letters. And I feel like sometimes that can be awkward, right? That can be very awkward for making poetry, right? Because if we have every word be capitalized, right, it's sort of annoying. I don't like how it looks, you know. Men often represent comfort for women, so it does make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, I think both, at least within like a binary framework, probably, right? Both genders often are a comfort for the other. I think that's like maybe a slightly what like limiting framework to be in, but I don't think you're wrong necessarily. Um, okay, trying to see this, have this be more seeable for y'all. Dark skies, clear mind. Give her more pieces of the good life. Women's comfort and recovery gift guide. Is this like a? I wonder if this is when this is from. Oh, should really be careful about magazines that have been like shipped to my address, right? um, that purple vest is evil. Purple vest, evil purple vest. Was it this one? Is this a vest? That looks more like a coat. There's a dog there. I like dogs. I don't. I'm not. Oh, this one. Maybe that's a purple. It still looks like a coat. I'm not sure. Dog. They have lots of dogs in this. Yeah, there's not lots of like really striking words. Oh, I kind of like these like at a glance, at a glance. Oh, oh, that could be fun, right? Like having like a refrain within the poem that's like at a glance, at a glance, at a glance. Something about glancing. I really find that kind of compelling poetically. I, especially with that M dash, like that genuinely feels like poetic. If we're, and there are more of these, I think. I think there are more at a glances. So if I can get like 4 of them. Gravity? Give more of what? One page to the right. Give more. Okay, you have gravity here. Gravity question mark. Gravity never matter. I feel like I hate I hate advertising and magazines and whatever this is. But hey, gravity? Never met her. Uh, I feel like that's just what? That's like the I hardly know her, you know, right? Like something I hardly know her. Give more of what? Okay, you were looking for give more of what drives her. This is what you're talking about, this little line here, right? I think this is what you're referring to. This give more of what. So I can grab that one too for our pool of possible words. Give more of what? Yeah. I feel like this needs a little edge. I feel like it needs some edge. Yeah, it started cool, but I couldn't finish it. Well, that's that's okay. Um, no, another one more shiny, a shiny purple vest. I don't know. Lots of give, give, give. I don't want a give poem. I don't think I'm here for that. Built-in warmth. Venture out style. There's an axe here. I'm not sure like the images are generally new classics. Maybe not for like where I'm headed with this poem hypothetically or what we have, but it's a good word for something else at least, or a good phrase, right? Mountain Legends feels a little Mountain Legends. Um, give her never mind that. Leon, it takes me time to like cut things out and then look at chat. Y'all gotta like bear with me, you know. Like I can always flip back to things. Like we could do a give her, give him at a glance. Like there could be like a love story here, right? Like at a, you know, right? Which so we'll take out like a couple give hims and give hers and we'll see where it goes. It actually could work. I like it. I like the idea. I mean, the purple coater bomber is the evil one. It's the background material. There are a lot of coats in this. I'm gonna be so real. uh, guessing. Oh, keep him. Like in a vacuum is kind of. There's romance there. There's I don't know if there's romance in keeping. I guess the very like free loving without sort of control and attachment people wouldn't like the idea of keeping others. I don't think I like it either. I don't think I like the idea of like love that demands, you know? That's not my. Okay, wait. There's like gravity. There's like a sink into. This could go places. This could work. This could super work. We'll be lacking normal words to make the actual sentences, though. Well, it's okay. The beautiful thing is like poetry, right? Like allows for a lack of like conjunctions and a lack of like specifiers and a lack of grammatical function. And I think it usually turns out pretty well. Pretty well. Better than I always expect. Like it feels like it's not going to work at the start. And then I feel like it does sometimes, you know. Sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay too. um like this like little like him her thing is kind of annoying. Like, you know, feels a little, like I said, limiting. Here's another at a glance. That is like super what I was looking for earlier. TJ Henry, hello, hello. Sorry if I'm not super talkative. Working on your book while you lurk. Yeah, no worries. You know, talkative is not required. Like, there's definitely no need to apologize, right? Because, like, because it's a Twitch stream at the end of the day, right? I think that's like part of the beautiful thing, like when I'm doing the poetry analysis, which is also like not this, when I'm analyzing poetry on stream, like people can talk and they can also talk, also like not talk. And there's like absolutely no pressure in any setting to be talking. Oh, wait, that's cool. If we have 4 white at a glances, and then this one has like a dark, like purpley background, right? That could create like some visual language that sort of plays with the meaning of the poem at a certain point. Um, which could be cool. I had the thought some time ago that it would be kind of crazy to try to make like a formal poem based like out of collage, like to say like let's take the form of villanelle, which involves like a refrain repeated 4 times, 2 separate refrains. Um, that would be like super crazy. That would be hard to do. I don't think that's what we're doing today, but okay, we need another, at least another give her more. No white on black at a glance. We have white on dark in this little one here. I know they're hard to see, right? um on the mountain. Yeah, there was another one, right? There was one back here, I think. You are right. I don't know where it was. This one. Yeah. It has a similar color. Those two might actually read as kind of almost the same. Right? These two? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they kind of work. Glad we went back to that. Wait. Ooh. Ooh. Guys. Look, on the top corner of a bunch of these, there's the word collection with a hyphen. Actually, like, that's the whole thing. So there could be not a hyphen, an M dash. So it has the same, like, sort of visual and poetic language as the at a glance. I don't know how one would create a poem that uses the word collection multiple times. That feels very like not a super like pretty word. Not that poems have to be pretty, but collection. So this would be cool. We would have this really nifty M dash thing going on within the poem, and I like that. I don't know if it would be good, but it might be cool. We're gonna be collecting an at a glance. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how those things relate in terms of like the meanings of the words, right? Like collection. I mean, collection can refer to like a group of things. It can refer to like this, or it's like a collection within a store or a clothing collection. Um, and then at a glance, I mean, of course they both have this like shopping connotation, but we'd like to move away from that. I don't think I want this to feel like a poem that is specifically to do with like buying things. I mean, that's the beauty of the collage is we can take something like this and subvert it into an uh, entirely different meaning, and that's cool. Uh, Here's another collection, but I'm just it'll be a challenge. We'll make a poem around collection and at a glance, and maybe as an extra stipulation, we'll just only take the rest of the words from this magazine. I like that because these are like, right, these have a hyper consistent font if we're repeating them, and these have the exact same font. So it might be best to just kind of keep going with what we have because it is all in the same font, and that'll be nice for the final piece as a collage. Ooh, look, there's a oh, maybe there's other collection that doesn't have a hyphen. I mean, there's only so much collection we can do before it is too much collection in this poem. So it doesn't totally matter. At a glance, give to her collection. Gravity never met her. Yeah, I think we're still we're still lacking on like something that means something. I think we're still floating in like a an undefined and confused void of words. And we don't totally have something coherent, right? We definitely don't have something coherent, actually. And maybe, maybe it would be helpful to start looking into very small words. We can definitely do a smaller collage, or we can do a big collage with small words. But there is a lot of probably like interesting stuff in these little paragraphs. Should definitely cut out words like for. Yeah, I mean, we can always go back and grab them as we need them, right? Uh, there are actually a lot of, so they have this like, right, like not too loose, not too tight. Down here we have all of this stuff again, not too loose, not too tight. I don't know how much repetition we want in the poem, but doing it all from a magazine like this, from a catalog, definitely creates some interesting opportunities to use repetition. Weight and collection feel like words that like each other, for lack of better way of putting that, right? Like collection is together, collection is stable, collection is condensed, weight is sort of similar. In the journey, give him at a glance, collection, new classics. Yeah, I think we're still. This is certainly not enough, right? uh, Interesting. We have like weights, and then these have like floats. It's cool that we get everything in like sets of many. I don't know. I still have no idea like what this is trying to say, but there is a weight thing, right? There's sync, there's collection, there's weight, there's floats, there's a lot. I also might take these takes the of takes the chill off, because that's like a verb. We are kind of lacking verbs, right? At a glance and collection are not verbs. Guessing is a verb. Sink is a verb. What is this gonna be? And then we have this give him, give her thing, which we could use, or we could not. Definitely have no idea where to start on like pictures and the visual part of the collage. I would like it to not be from the Gorpcore magazine, but ideally, right? For the imagery, if you have some kind of Valentine or love-related magazine, it will be hard to find anything. Yeah, I mean that definitely could work if it's going in this sort of romantic direction. Um, One could also turn to National Geographic for things that are spacey. Um, Things with weight. Could probably find comfort in words like that to give him, give her. Yeah, that's definitely, there's a lot of comfort, right? I mean, we had it here. There's like, this. There's more collection. Changing. That's actually a good word. Changing. Changing. At a glance. Here's another give her. We'll take it. I'm not sure if the give her, give him thing is like entirely to my liking, but it could work. Like, here's another comfort, right? Interesting that this comfort is lowercase. This comfort is uppercase. We can grab an and, I guess. Might as well. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have genuinely no clue. What? Get more. More. I don't like the background on the more. I don't think I want to use it visually because it's got this weird like light dark thing, right? Like there's a lot of like visual consideration where I like my words to look like if like a lot of these words are black on white, so I want the other ones to look sort of at least okay in terms of like background. It also helps for readability when you're not like trying to figure out what the actual words are on top of a really on something background. Yeah. Okay, we have these give hers. We have these at a glance. Maybe there's something where these at a glances look to comment on this her and him paradigm. I'm not sure. Recovery could be in conclusion of a poem. Recovery could be good. It could work. It's somewhere around here. It's back here, right? So many words. I want to take some of these and shuffle them around and see if anything is inspiring. Because genuinely we have a lot of words and like I'm not entirely inspired by a lot of these, even though they like can work well. Oops. I just launched some of them across my desk. How do I pick these up? Okay. Lots of words. These are gonna turn into poetry, and then they're gonna go on a page with pictures. But I want to have some vibes to know what we're trying to say. uh, at a glance. It's a fascinating line, right? To just have this like at a glance, at a glance, at a glance. I mean, it implies something deeper, right? If we say like something, something, something at a glance, something, something, something at a glance, something, something, something at a glance, we create this implication by repeating that refrain, probably, that like all of this is only happening on like a very surface level. And then like if we even hit at the end with like darker at a glance, it's like, oh, right, we're really like calling attention to that. But then like what? What at a glance is then the question. Um, and I mean like it could be doing this like collection, something in the middle, at a glance, collection, as to just imply like lists of I don't like this actually. Guessing, sink into the right, like if we have like comfort, whatever, this like idea of comfort, this idea of stability, this idea of guides, this idea of stuff, and then it's like all of that is at a glance, then the end can sort of be like comfort, guide. Right, like at a glance, and then like the truth at the end is like changing, guessing, unsurety, instability, where it, we have this like illusion of a comfortable binary love, him, her, whatever, sink into the weights, right? And then it can be like weights, the weights. It's like heavy at the end, right? Things like something like that, you know? Maybe I don't know, man. uh Sink into the comfort you give her. Yeah, yeah, I mean that's cool. Um I think like sink, right? So we have this like at a glance implies something at the surface. It implies like something kind of illusory to me. And I think maybe I'd like to frame this him her kind of love as that illusory thing. And then at the end we sink into, and that is to say to like to exist in a way that is not at a glance. Um right, because sink into is like to actually engage with something. I don't know. Floats like her. Maybe it's just her and him. Maybe it's not like give her and give him. Floats like her, floats like him, takes her, takes him. Like comfort floats like her. I don't know. I don't know. Comfort takes him. Guide. Do we have two guides? Guessing. And we have two guessings. Her guessing, him guessing. Maybe. I'm not entirely satisfied with this. I like this. I sort of like this. Maybe the answer is to find pictures. Right? We have some words and we have this like sort of general place that we're going. And sometimes it's helpful when one is feeling stuck in any sort of art to go in a different direction, right? To try something different. And if we look for words that might go with this, it might help us find a way towards something more coherent as a collage, that we can build the poetry upon and on top of. So gonna get these out of the way. Okay. There's our pile of words in the corner. And we need pictures for a collage. Which means another magazine, because that one sucks. That one like super sucks. So let's find stuff. I want more magazines. I feel like I'm tired of what I have. Desert Companion. Look at that. This is the cover. This is a piece of music, but that's just a very sort of, it's kind of uncanny, actually, the way that that's kind of like blurry. I don't like that at all. It looks strange. Am I crazy for that? Like her eyes look too big. I don't know. What is this? Is this furniture? This is furniture. Probably won't find anything helpful in there. Well, when all else fails, get a magazine with a dinosaur on the cover. When all else fails, National Geographic is what we'll do, because I have lots of them, and I feel like they usually, I mean, they kind of suck. They have lots of nature and they have lots of pretty pictures, but like none of this feels helpful for like not nature-y kind of stuff. Right. This is not helpful. Masks. Corn. Right, like they have cool images and cool graphics and cool pictures. but we could do a collage that's text and like geometric stuff where I just like go crazy with a compass on a white sheet and see what happens. I almost like that idea. I'm not sure. I feel like I'm losing the plot on this poem. I'm not sure I ever had the plot is maybe one of the issues. That's a really cool this is gonna be a save for later page. That's dope. Not exactly straight, but that's fine. Man, I don't know. I'm like high-key struggling with this one. I'm thinking geometric might be cool. I just don't know. Dude, the Spinosaurus. That guy's huge. That's a cool picture. Okay. Man, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. My brain isn't working enough to write. I mean, you know, that's how it goes. So like one thought is definitely just to get out the compasses and draw circles and straight lines and these kinds of things and use them in conjunction with the words to make stuff. This can be pretty cool. For example, I have like this piece, this zine that I made. What if I did? Oops, I just totally knocked the whole table. Sorry if that was loud. This one has all sorts of lines that I did and circles and geometric things. And maybe there's a way to do that with this. Maybe. But I don't know. What if I... This had an entirely different idea for an entirely different piece that is not collage, that would be very cool, that involves the typewriter. So, like, I was thinking, like, if I do this geometric thing, like, what would I be doing for a background? And I could do plain white, and I could also, like, do music, and I could do, like, a plain color or some kind of, like, patterned page. And then I had the thought that I could, like, collage on top of a page that had typewritten, like, the same letter, like, over the entire page. And it was just, like, or, like, random letters, just, like, top to bottom. And I think that'd be a really cool, like, visual, right? To have, like, a page just kind of covered in, like, random letters. And then you'd have to kind of look very hard to find the actual poem, which feels tonally consistent with these like at a glance collection kind of words, right? Where it's this like massive collection of text that you like sort of have to do work to look through to understand. I think that would actually be really cool, and it might turn out horrible. So I think the plan is to just like try shit right now. It's impressive. Got like two bots in a row. They usually like don't come at the same time. Um, we'll get the typewriter. I don't know. I'm messing around, right? These streams are like my place to just like try shit, and and uh yeah. Let's see. Viewbotters do ads now. Yeah, yeah. They've been doing that for as long as I've been streaming. Okay. We're gonna try this. This might get loud. This might get loud. I think I can like get the whole. I don't know if I can get like the whole typewriter in the overhead. I guess I can. Enough of it that it can kind of be seen on stream, right? Um, this is fun. Haven't done this before on Twitch. The typewriter is very loud. It makes a very, very nice kind of thrumming sound and very loud clacks. So I'm gonna have to turn down the mic when I do that so that it functions. But I think I have the margins on the typewriter set all the way wide so I can type like entirely to the end of the page, which I think means I could just spam letters across the whole page and it would turn into like a sort of interesting background for the collage, for the piece. I don't know if it can get all the way to the top of the page, but we could also trim it down, right? If I trim it down, then that still works. And then we'd have this cool background of just like letters typed, which is kind of cool. That was kind of cool. I never used a newer one, only like a fully manual old thing out of like 1930. Yeah, this is an electric typewriter, so it has some electric functionalities and it makes noise. But I don't know, let's see. I mean, I guess the only way to like see how this looks is to genuinely just fill up a whole page with letters. And I think then the question is like, do I do different letters? I think they would want to be caps, right? Just put on caps lock. But do I like, and then how do I keep it random, right? I don't want it to look like the ASDF kind of when you're like spamming here, right? On like the main line. So like, and like having one letter over and over again solves that issue. Like if you just had a wall of B's or A's, right? Maybe just gibberish and then sometimes add a word in lowercase. Yeah, I mean, that's another idea I had when I was thinking about this is you could just make a poem, right, where it was a bunch of random letters and then you would randomly have actual words within those letters and it would make it like super unreadable and that would somehow like work with the poem itself. And that's almost worth doing right itself as an entire work. Maybe we should try that. I would need to write a poem here, which I guess is not something I'm incapable of doing, right? So maybe we'll just entirely depart from collage. I in fact have the free will to do that and just try to like do poetry in a weird and unconventional way. Which means I need my pen, which I think is back here somewhere. I'm dropping collage cutout words. Seems a lot easier than a collage. Maybe. I imagine it might turn out to be extremely frustrating with like the typewriter and then like making a mistake and all of that. Um, but yeah, no, it's actually I never write poems live on stream. The collage is easy because it's just like putting words together. Um, but then I go to write poems on stream, and usually I'm sort of I usually can't do it. But we're talking about like this jumble of words, this like static, right? Maybe that's just I never title poems before writing them, but right, it's this static, it's this fuzz, it's this thing that sort of mm, mm, is a barrier. We're talking about like overstimulation. It'd be a cool like overstimulation poem. Yeah, because it's just like words and letters and sounds, and it's like all so much, so fast. And that's maybe reasonable. I'm gonna hikey gonna move. There's no space to move the typewriter over now that it's here. Um, maybe I can make space. It's not the biggest space. Okay. This can come down. This can come this way. Okay. We're here. Redeemed hydrate, Leon. Can do. Hydrated. Okay. So, trying to write a poem. You'd think I would be able to do this on stream as someone who like talks about poetry on stream all the time. I just have to forget that y'all are there. So I might stop talking for a second. I think I need to like zoom in. I like that though, sleeping librarian value in a mass of nothing. There's some like social media TikTok kind of information. Hmm. Oh, this is interesting. Hmm. Um, okay. Are you looking in the right place? Did you miss me? Did you miss me? Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, this is a fascinating way to write, cause so for this poem, right? If we're assuming we have this wall of words going on, then if we write longer lines, right, longer lines of text, will stick out much more strongly because we'll have like spaces, right? And they'll pop off the page more. Um, which means like arguably if we want it to be like least interpretable, we would like have a sentence like stretched out, word and then like some stuff in between and then word and then some stuff in between. And then it would also like start to create this like non-linear thing where you might like read a word here and go down and go down and go down this way and then not notice like what's happening elsewhere on the page. And one could get like extremely extremely like neurotic, not neurotic, but like really anal about it, and like create like all sorts of alternate branching pathways within this text that like have different meanings, and there can be like vertical poems and horizontal poems and like backwards poems and all sorts of things going on, because the feeling of static potentially like creates like just a fundamentally nonlinear poem. uh and this is really cool, right? You could even have underlined things to like stick out certain words but not others, where like you draw the eye to different places on the page, and then this could actually be like an incredibly cool um, poetic form. It's like redaction poetry, but way more free. It's like the opposite. Oh, it's this is okay. This is super 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 cool. Wait till someone finds words in the static and suddenly the meaning is twisted again. Right? Yeah. Like no, this could be like, imagine a whole book of that. Like a whole book of poems that I feel like this is actually a genuinely like super cool idea. But I feel like I should just write something and not try to get too ambitious with it. Um, to have like anything at all. I have this like phone call thing going on. Um, R. Oh wait, this is sick. Um, oh my gosh, this is so. This is. This me. Whoa. Whoa. This is so sick. Okay, I'm like super, super excited about this. So I'm like sort of writing this as if assuming that there's gonna be like text here, right? And I had some words written down on the other side. This like phone call. Miss, are you there? Can you hear me? Did you miss me? Right? These kinds of things is what I'm going for. And maybe using this miss word, right? And the different connotations of miss. Um, and then like, but we can also do like, miss, are you me, miss, right? We can do like, miss, you there, right? Hear you happening on this side of the page if read vertically, where we're creating these different directions that we could be reading the poem. Um, within like the straight across normal way, and the fact that these are vertically linked is going to make the eye like follow these, right? um yeah, because you can also miss the words, right? And it's this phone static, right? You're missing things, you're not catching everything. um yeah. um yeah. Yeah. um I don't know. Oh, this is so cool. It's a bad time. It's bad. Maybe try another time. And I can just throw in words places. Yeah. Okay. Wait, this is, this is so cool. I'm like geeking over this poem. This is gonna be so hard to type. Um, this is gonna be miserable, actually. Um, this is gonna be horrible, awful, difficult, but we'll figure it out. um, this is trippy. This is gonna be weird. I don't. um. Okay. Well, we'll just keep it short for now. I'm just gonna try. This you. Okay. I'm just gonna like start trying to type this because this is going to be an incredibly difficult thing to make work on the typewriter, but could turn out super duper cool. And I'm not going to be able to talk too much while typewritering because I'm going to turn the gain way down on the mic. And I think I'm going to have to try this a few ways. I think one way to do it is to have letters lowercase for the words, but it might be too obvious, at which point it could all be uppercase. Um, and it would just be very difficult. But word searches are pretty hard sometimes. So maybe like uppercase with spaces. I'm not sure. We'll see. You could possibly add like, can you still hear me? I think I turned the gain down too far. Okay. You could possibly add like quotes to not make it super obvious, but a little. Yeah, I could do quotes around letters. So right now, hard to see on the camera. I've done the first line. Maybe I should do the line above too. But basically here, maybe this is the way to do the camera to like zoom in on what's being typed. But we have Miss is the title of the poem here. I don't know if that reads on the camera, but that's in lowercase with quotes around it, right? Because I do my titles with quotes. Um, and that actually might work. The lowercase, it definitely sticks out. I'm also going to do the line above it. Anyway, we're gonna try it all lowercase, and then we'll try it uppercase, maybe in quotes. um, I'm not sure. Uh, Gain is going back down. No. See. Ah. See, I already messed it up. I already messed it up. I already forgot to put caps lock back on. See, like, and then if you do it wrong, you have all these random letters that are wrong. But I love this idea. I think, I think it will be best to do the words in lowercase, like this. Another option is something I accidentally did, is you can manually like step this for like lines and stuff. And you can do a half line spacing or like negative line spacing where the words overlap. And I don't know, I don't think I want to mess with that for this particular poem, but it's something that could be very interesting, I think, down the line to have the words be on half spaces. But this one has failed. I do think, though, I do think that this is a very promising sort of poetic form to do this like this. So we have the title there, and it like takes effort to find it, but I think once you realize what's going on, this is not helpful. It might be okay, like, because the lowercase does stick out, I think, well enough. And that's very exciting. This is deeply exciting to me. So we're just gonna try it again. I'm just gonna use the same piece of paper because it doesn't really matter. This is just experimentation with new ways of doing poetry. So it doesn't have to be on a nice new clean sheet. And I'm gonna try to do it better this time to not fuck it up. So yeah, this is take 2. I didn't have the caps lock on. might be an unpopular opinion, but that first line might be the best literature you've ever read. I think that's a very popular opinion. I absolutely agree that random characters are literature at its finest. You hate the mod view. You're supposed to see everything but the streamer. You don't always have to watch in mod view, Leon, even though you're a mod. I don't really care that much. um, like it's not actually that much on this channel that needs moderating. I feel like you only really have to like turn it on if there's something to be moderated. Okay, I feel like this collage, this not collage, this thing is going well. I'm sure this content is like absolutely fucking riveting. With just the typewriter like going. Um, I'm like, I bet people just absolutely are like, what the fuck is this? Um, this is kind of dope though, sort of poetically interesting. Um, as it's coming along, uh, it is very hard to read, which I think is the point, right? Like, that's cruel. A whole line of nothing. You're gonna have people looking for words. Yeah, this one is a whole line of nothing. 'Cause it's a stanza break, you know? The top is a stanza and this is a stanza. So the words are up here and then the words will continue starting at the next line. Um, I do wonder, like, entirely separate from this, right? We were talking about the idea of using wall of text as a collage background, right? With other stuff collaged on top of it. And I think that would be a really, really visually appealing thing to do, right? Like, this is dope visually, just like the wall of text. And I mean, to that extent, there could even be things hidden. Maybe a space between the gibberish and the words. Maybe. I think it would still be hard to read, which is good, especially with the spaces that naturally accidentally happen within the gibberish. Um, because these spaces, I'm not actually hitting the space bar. It's when I hit two keys at the same time on the typewriter keyboard, and then these arms like hit each other while they're trying to write a word, and then they like fail to actually like write anything. Um, so spaces might actually not be too much of a problem for the text. But I am gonna try to finish this one as is. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it is too illegible. It might be too illegible. It might be too illegible. Or yeah, yeah, it's pretty freaking illegible. Um, yeah, my mom once had a typewriter very similar to this one, but no ink ribbons in it anymore. You can usually order the ribbons. I ordered a ribbon for this one recently, um, and I think it depends though. Sometimes they're discontinued. Um, I know the word semi and I can't find them. Yeah, I think I know the words and I can't find them, and that's a problem, right? So it needs to be slightly more, needs to have a slightly higher level of clarity going on somehow, which is probably going to be through spaces. So we will go in on the same page and just go the other direction. I don't think I'll run out of space. It's a pretty short poem. Arguably, like line spacing, like having lines that are spaced further apart could help with legibility, but I do like how dense they are. It does look really cool. Yeah, I think it does. I think there's like actually great possibility with this. Stream title is no longer accurate. We're no longer making uh, collage poetry, obviously, because we are doing typewriter poetry. ASCII art. I'm not sure I would be able to do it on a typewriter, but I'm familiar with ASCII art as a thing, right? But that would be very difficult to do typewritten, probably. Beyond like smiley faces and stuff. Okay, we're gonna go back to typewriting. Okay, So here, right, there's going to be a title. So we're going to do a space, and then the title will be in quotes because the title will be in quotes. And then we'll go back to gibberish. You all might notice that the whole typewriter moves when I hit like the power enter key, which is the when it takes this whole thing and slides it back over to the start. Because this thing is so heavy, and then it like snaps to here that it like shakes the whole everything and moves it all to the side. It's very frustrating because I'm right trying to keep the camera on it. I think this is looking better for like you say. It stands out more where you can see miss, miss, um, miss, are you there? I can you, can you hear? Right? It works better. Um, I'm kind of surprised I'm not falling asleep yet. Typewriter ASMR and the birds outside. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Is it enjoyable to listen to the clacking of the typewriter? That's certainly a curious thing. I like listening to it when I type on it. It's so clacky and nice. Um, yeah, okay, let's go back. Let's try to write the whole poem, maybe. We like the typewriter sounds. Okay, that's exciting. There's gonna be a lot more of it. We want more typewriter sounds. Okay. um, yeah, it's just a question of where I set the gain, right? When I because if I leave the gain as is, like at my normal talking volume, I think it's gonna be too much. I mean, I can try it. Prepare your ears for being exploded by the typewriter. But we'll try it. This is regular gain, and maybe that means you'll be able to hear me too. But it is loud. Um, this is a full line of gibberish, so we're just gonna hammer it out. Is that like fine? We like that typewriter level. You like it, Leon? Okay. If it's more like balanced with like the voice, it's fine. Okay. Gotta make sure y'all's typewriter ASMR experience is maximally enjoyable. I don't know why that was funny. I mean it is kind of funny. Tweaking the typewriter to be the proper volume, right? Okay. Don't say that, Leon. Close my eye. If I close my eyes, you sound like a professional writer for sure. Yeah, little do you know, right, that I'm just typing gibberish, right? We can hear the carrier return. This is such a fine sound too. Okay, I'm glad. Forgot the space after connection. I know. Hey, it's my first time. Oops. It's fine. Should we change the category to ASMR? Yeah, you should, Leon. I don't know if I know you can change my stream title, I think. Can you change my stream title? You might be able to. I don't know how much power you have as a mod. If you can change it, please do. Otherwise I can, but you know. Okay. Call it. Okay, we're done with like stanza 2, technically. I think arguably this is a stanza break here. Yeah, it probably should be. You have to learn being a mod for real first. Yeah, you have to go to mod school, actually. Here, I'll just retitle it. Typewriter ASMR update title. Okay. Should work. Should work. Did it crash stream? I think it's still streaming. Okay. It didn't. It just got weird. Okay, we're good. Well, back to it, right? Bam. Oh. You started a prediction? What are you doing, Leon? Is Leon going to learn how to mod? You gotta make the timer on predictions longer so people have a chance to vote. You made it like 10 seconds long. But yeah, mess around with it. Have fun. If you like do things on my stream like that whenever you want, go for it. Mod school does sound horrible. This is so silly. Um, you can't, it's so bad I can't predict because gambling, the Netherlands are really strict. So you can't even gamble fake points that you get for literally just showing up. That's crazy. That's insane. You managed to kick yourself. Wow. Good job, Leon. It high key feels like I should be streaming in full time all the time in ASMR, right? In that category. I should be just typing like this, just gibberish, right? And then people can donate, right? Like 100 bits to like put a word on the typewriter, and then like the word goes on, right? And then I put their word, and they're like, "Wow, they put my word on stream," and then it's just a full time typewriter ASMR channel, broken up by me talking really softly, and and then it's like ASMR, and let's get back to the typewriter, folks. The clicking sounds, you know? I think some people would actually watch that. I mean, you're watching this, Sleepy Librarian, so clearly it kind of works. Leon's here too. I mean, he's attending mod school right now, so it's understandable. At a pool with water and ducks, true. I'm kind of like getting into the flow state though. This is quite fun. Maybe I should like title the stream like Typewriter ASMR parentheses making poetry to like tell the people what's actually going on, because it genuinely looks like I'm just typing random shit, right? You figure that out yet, Leon? Now, that being said, that is actually the extent of the poem that I wrote Um, this looks super cool in terms of like the medium of visual poetry. Um, I'm like actually really stoked about this. Um, See, now the typewriter ASMR is actually kind of over. Um, I get all this like smells typewritery. Like it has a, maybe it's dust, but it smells like my typewriter now. Um, okay, so let's high key look at that poem. Um, I want a page like that tattooed on my leg. That'd be kind of dope. Okay, that's a poem, right? Titled Miss. Maybe I can go in. I can we can like underline things is the cool thing too, right? I can be like, "Yo, that's the title. Now you can see it." Right? Because we can't underline on the typewriter. Actually, we can. I have underscores. That's the OG underline, is just to type underscores on top of things. That works. Oh well. Um yeah, there's a poem here. That's like, it's kind of dope. It's, and like I feel like the good thing is you look at this page, right? And you can um PS kind of works before the title. It's an F. Yeah. Um like you, I think you look at this and you can immediately see that there are words because the lowercase sticks out enough and it's prevalent enough, right? That like you can tell there's something more going on than just wall of random text, or at least like I can when I look at it. And I think that's because the eye gravitates toward the things that are different, and we recognize uppercase and lowercase as different things. So like the eye will scan around until it lands on lowercase letters, right? TBH, I'm trying to find unwanted words through the gibberish. Yeah, there are probably some, which is funny. Um, but yeah, I feel like there is, like, it would be very bad if I accidentally typed a slur, right? Um, oh, look, there's HRT here. We have some transgender ideology within this poem, actually. Uh, um, yeah, I think I could do something denser, right? Like I think even the words that I have here are slightly sparse, where like I think you can get this miss, are you me, miss, it's bad maybe. Like it's really easy to follow things vertically within this, right? I hear you happening right here, like it sticks out. Um Goodbye miss, you can sort of pick out here, easy. Yeah, hormone replacement therapy. Um but I think it's almost impossible to like go through and do like the miss, are you there, I, you, here, miss, you. And part of it is I made it like slightly illegible, like slightly nonsensical too, but actually that's not true. You, it's very hard, even you, um you, hear me, question mark, right? You miss me. um right, it works really well for creating like these vertical lines. And so I think it would be cool to maybe write this poem, um uh write a poem like this where you had like vertical lines cutting down through these sort of like gashes out of the gibberish. um could be really cool, right? I think this could be uh actually like this has the potential, I think, for creating compelling art, like something that like genuinely powerful artistic statement. Because I've definitely seen no one ever do this, first of all, and novelty has its power in art. Um, but also that like this idea of, right, what we were saying earlier, like something coming through the static, searching for meaning within a mass of nonsensical, symbols, I think is a really like compelling fundamental framework for creating art in the modern time, right? If we want to get real sort of philosophic about it, right? That we exist in an era of uh, overwhelming information, of gibberish static, um, and genuine anything, right, does exist. Um, but it's hard, right? The era of trash. Yeah. Um, yeah, I feel like it's compelling and modern information in the middle of the fake news. Yeah, I, it would be cool. Um, I do think it would be like very kind of compelling to have a like to open like if this was in like a full book, we'll say like a poetry collection sized book because it's poetry, and this kind of takes a lot of labor, right? We filled a third of a page or something. um you can cut this down. um uh like imagine, right, you're like in a bookstore. you you see a book with like a cool cover, that the cover would probably look like this too, and you open it and you see that like genuinely every single page looks like this, right? And you immediately start noticing that there's clearly like words kind of poking out from the mass. And then it creates this, like, it'd probably be quite like a wondrous thing if you weren't aware of what this book was, let's say, and you start going through it and finding what feels like all of these, you know, hidden messages, right? Um, I feel like it would kind of be a very unique artistic experience as a reader, to find something like this not knowing what it is, right? In our era of not knowing what's true or not real powerful, actually. Yeah. And I mean, especially if the subject of every poem was, and give it to a dyslexic. Yeah, unfortunately, is a fundamentally inaccessible piece of art. Um, but, um, yeah, if every piece was about like news and social media, and even this one is sort of like a phone call, right? It's the digital distortion of communication. Um, like, it'd be super cool, right? You are dyslexic, Leon. Same, but still doable. Maybe not for pages. I mean, yeah, I don't think like this. It would be incredibly difficult for anyone to read this, pages after pages. And I think that's part of the artistic statement, right? Um, because we exist in a world of pages upon pages of static and overwhelm and nonsense. And this is like, to truly like try to engage with this work, like kind of creates a feeling of like sensory overload. You have to struggle to find the truth, right? um That's it's extraordinarily compelling. Um, yeah, I'm and I write about this a lot. I think about this a lot, like just being a person in the digital age and like the struggle for information and attention and um, these things compel me immensely because like I've lived with them and sort of my generation is the first generation to truly be subjected our entire lives to this kind of media environment, right? And so like this like if I made a work of poetry, let's say, um, on that subject in this way, then it's a piece of work that could not have existed beforehand. And there's something very compelling about, creating work that is truly um, contemporary, right? That could not have existed 10 years ago. Um, I like that, right? Yeah, you can give up and stop reading, but that's up to you. And yeah, maybe I mean, I feel like you would almost have to have the first poem be some sort of commentary on like the social media detox, the internet detox, the way people shelter themselves from the overstimulation and like the suffering, right? I actually wrote a poem. Maybe this is all on my mind because I just wrote a very similar poem earlier today. I was looking at the news. My mistake. Uh, I was looking at headlines on Al Jazeera, and I was going through like a article recapping the first whatever 40 something days of the war in Iran. Um, and there's this video, and this poem is about that video. And it's sort of similar to this topic. It's called I Only See the Tattered Edges. Look carefully at the hand of this child. Look carefully at the hand of this child. My handwriting is very small. Who came to study this morning? I cannot look, actually. I can't look at all. She leaves this world covered in the soft veil of a digital blur. My handwriting's hard to read and it's late at night and I'm tired. The knife edge of an ulna pokes out. Tattered skin dangles into view. All I have been allowed to see. All I have to honor her by. Look at the shape of this hand. The Zionist regime has again showed their crimes to the world. But I can't look at all. I see only the tattered edges. I'm gonna read it again because high key. I know what the words are. Wait, there's a war in Iran. I hope you're not serious, Leon. If you are serious, then yes. I mean, arguably, it's just an American invasion and um, like a I don't know, just bombing, war of aggression, crime, war crime. Like it's not really a unfortunately, it's not really a war. I'm gonna read this poem again, but yeah, the video of this guy holding up this child's hand when the school got bombed, um, and the hand is blurred, right? And he's saying, "Look closely at this hand. Look closely at the hand of this child," right? As to say, like, really look, look at the crimes that are going on in the world. And then like because of the internet it's like just digitally like blurred out. I see only the tattered edges. Look carefully at the hand of this child. Look carefully at the hand of this child who came to study this morning. I cannot look carefully. I can't look at all. She leaves this world covered in the soft veil of a digital blur. The knife edge of an ulna pokes out. Tattered skin and muscle dangle into view. All I have been allowed to see. All I have to honor her by. Look at the shape of this hand. The Zionist regime has again showed their crimes to the world. But I can't look at all. Yeah, I like that poem. I do. I mean, I don't like that that poem exists, that I had to write that poem, but I did. Imagine it's 7 a.m. for me just saying, we can't say it's night, it's morning. It's night for me. It's 10 p.m. Yeah, I gotta do physical therapy at 2 p.m. Going to be tough. Dude, so how? I mean, I guess I've done all-nighters before. Right. Like, it happens. I don't like it. I really don't like them. But yeah, good luck, Leon, right? Okay, we didn't do a collage today, but we did something more compelling, I think. Because I genuinely feel like this could be yeah, like really compelling in book form if it gets focused into something. I don't know if that means there'll be more typewriter streams. um I'm unsure, but like I don't know if that's something I would try to just do on my own now that I've discovered the secrets of typewriter stuff. It would be really cool. Okay, so like there are variations to be done on this theme too, right? It doesn't all have to be just like entirely random letters, right? I could take a news article. I could take that exact same news article from Al Jazeera, right? And I could do all caps the actual article itself, right? And then, right, in lowercase, I could have a poem, like literally this poem, coming through in between the text of the article, right? Or you could have like excerpts from like tweets, right? Or social media posts, or a transcript of a clavicular live stream, right? Like you could have all sorts of different things that serve as the gibberish, and then have the words poking through that in different ways, right? You could also have all caps all the time, no spaces, right? And you could underline specific parts, and then it could maybe be a poem about like trying to scream over the noise, right? Where the underlined are like me shouting, and it's like you're shouting and just shouting into the abyss of something that you can't shout over, right? And that could be a poem, right? And you could have the news poem, and you could have the this poem, right? Even this poem could be refined. It could be all H's and Z's and S's, and X's and K's, where it's like the like static sounds, right? Like we can refine the all caps to make them like different in different ways, right? Like it's an entirely different character, let's say. Entirely different character if you had all A's going across the whole page and it's just like right? Versus like different letters. You could have numbers, right? It could be a poem about the algorithm, right? And it's all numbers as to imply like the computer, or ones and zeros, right? And then it's like the letters coming through the ones and zeros, um, as to comment on making art within a world of like constant algorithmic AI slop, right? That would be a whole nother poem too. Um, you know, like there's so many avenues. There's so many ways to go with it. I'm like, right? Yeah, yeah. Meaning made of nonsense containing meaning. Yeah, the nonsense doesn't have to not mean anything. The nonsense can have meaning too. Um, and it just seems like the perfect way to like have a a nuanced, differentiated, but also like tonally and visually consistent commentary on art in the modern world. Yeah, yeah. You do all characters, and it would be like the swearing censoring kind of thing. Um, Instead of gibberish, you get the hexadecimal value of the text you write. That'd be kind of funny, right? You could hide codes within that. Um, uh, like you could have, yeah, you could totally like hide codes within the poem itself, and then it would create this extra layer of the search for meaning and spending time to find like a truth that's underlying. Gonna turn into a puzzle book. I This is something I've been thinking about for like a month now, is a poetry puzzle book, and like something that is a book of poetry that intentionally like takes the reader through increasingly complex um, sort of like ciphers and codes hidden within the poetry, um, where it's like literally sort of like a guide through the poetry to like how those things work step by step, um, growing in complexity. Uh, that being said, this could just be in something like this. It could just be sprinkled in where there could be codes and hidden stuff. Um, yeah, where you actually have to look for truth and meaning instead of a simple 1 second Google search. Yeah, um, and the beauty is like the beauty of puzzles. I think the true beauty of puzzles and riddles and these kinds of things is of games is you can only get value by like going through the difficult part. It's not satisfying to look up the solution to a puzzle. In the same way, interestingly, that it's not satisfying to look up the interpretation of a piece of art, right? If you read a poem and you don't know what it means, and then you look up what it means, and now you know because an AI summary told you, it is like nowhere near as satisfying as what I do on the normal stream, where you like go through and actually figure out what the poem is saying, which in a sense means the act of like analyzing art and engaging with art is like fundamentally game like and puzzle like, um, which is curious to me. I have like a piece that I sort of started to work on. Actually, I pretty much, well, I did like a rough draft and then it spiraled into like something too big. Um, but that's something I was writing recently. The idea of framing art, framing poetry, framing analyzing art, and all of that as something that's fundamentally a game, as opposed to this, mystifying, mystical, like magical thing that we call art that's like confusing um, and like woo woo. But I think art can truly be framed as like a game with certain rules and certain ways that we can play and certain ways that like people don't want you to play, and there are certain things that we will call art or not call art and whatever, right? Um yeah. Oh, I discovered a website yesterday where people can ask questions and pose as AI and answer other people questions. Spoilers, there's no AI. in it. It's just people impersonating AI, and it gets real hilarious real fast. That's kind of funny. I it's clever. It's very postmodern. um, very silly, right? Um, I've been liking more and more postmodern as just an adjective to describe things. Like someone will say something to me, and I'll be like, "That's a very postmodern thing to say." Um, and I think it's just the case we live in this like absurd and incomprehensible society that where we have people impersonating AI. Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah, we're pretty close to dystopia. At least, I mean, there are certain parts of the world that are immediately dystopic, right? We'll take Palestine and Israel and Lebanon and um, Ukraine, North Korea, um, in some case, in some capacity, like Taiwan having like China looming over it, Venezuela, right? He's like took their leader, and in that sense, America itself is fairly dystopic. Um, but like the American person, like it doesn't look like they're in a dystopia, so they're fine with it, you know. And all the images from the scary places in the world get blurred and censored and propaganded away. So which is very funny because dystopia is not supposed to be reality by definition. Yeah, yeah, like that a dystopia is not a reality. Um, yeah, and we don't like truly live in like a sci-fi dystopia, right? But there are some things that feel that way. But it actually does make sense, doesn't it? Maybe, maybe. Um, okay. I think that's kind of all for stream. Uh, because we did our typewriter experiments and they turned out well, and I'm very happy with them. A cool stream, thank you. Sometimes it really surprises me. Like I feel like me putting a camera on my face and then like doing this nonsense um uh is I'm like, why would anyone like stick around and watch it? A lot different from what I expected. Well, we were trying to do a collage stream. Um, I think I'm almost to the point where I want to have a few streams a week where I just say like maybe writing, maybe playing music, maybe just making art, maybe collaging, and like that's the title of the stream. And it's really just like a sort of spot where I can do whatever I want artistically. Because sometimes like putting it on stream has always helped me like get art done and like have new ideas and like experiment with stuff. Before I ever streamed poetry, I was streaming calligraphy, and I was using it as a way to practice calligraphy regularly because then I'd just be able to yap into the microphone and people might stop by, and it like really helped me practice that. Um, and then I switched to the poetry streams, and it was really because I was like practicing how to analyze and talk about poetry. And then that kind of turned into like my thing. Um, but I, I definitely at least want to try one stream at some point of like me playing music and practicing saxophone. And I don't know how compelling it would be. Like, I don't know how wise it is, like from a streaming and I don't know, like growth perspective or whatever, to like start doing like a clusterfuck of artistic things on my stream and just have it be sort of many different things. But there's also the fact that those wouldn't replace the the regular poetry analysis streams. They would just be like in addition, so it wouldn't be like the whole stream just goes to shit, right? the whole poetry thing, because I love doing that, and it's a really good thing. Late night streams are pretty cool. I like doing the collage stuff sometimes. It can be like kind of chill and fun in the evening. My advice is just be you and do whatever you like. Don't give too much on the importance of growth or other people liking it. Yeah, yeah. It is there is the part that I'm really proud and happy with like what is happening with like the poetry analysis. Um and I think it's a really good thing, right? Um and yeah, I guess it's just more that I'm curious how all of that will look and what a stream looks like with like all these different things, right? More variety. People will get attracted to your personality and having with you, no matter what you do. Yeah, I think that's the case, right? Which is crazy to me because um, I've never been one to give glowing reviews of my own personality, but um, but yeah, I think we might be going into a summer of. I say summer because it's April and it's already, you know, convert to Celsius. Um, it already gets to like 30 degrees Celsius in April where I'm at. Um, uh, it might be a summer of much stream experimentation, right? I think that's very possible. Um, and trying different shit. And artistic experimentation and me messing with stuff like this and music and whatever. I think it might be fun to practice sax on stream to do transcription stuff. Um, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'll tell you what I like about your stream if you want a review. I feel like that's a sure. Go for it, Leon. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Would you want that? Sure. Do your thing. I mean, I don't have too much interest in collaging, but I still clicked on the stream. Yeah, you didn't actually see the collaging part. We got lost along the way. The collages can be really cool. I do really like I showed them a little bit at the start of stream, but like uh I think there's some, in the same way as what we were talking about with this thing, like compelling artistic value. Um, I do think these can be pretty cool as pieces of art, right? Um, but yeah, I love messing around and exploring with new things and ways to use my words and ba da 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 da, right? So that's always good. Do you like my voice and my way of speaking? I'm very soothing. There's not a single thing that I find aggressive, and it's refreshing. I mean that makes me very happy to hear. I will say that because um, I don't. Yeah, we live in an extremely like aggressive and fast paced and the kind of world and um, letters and typewriter sounds and shit like that. So, um, and I've found that like it's better to be gentle and to be slow and to sort of, you know, have meaningful and kind interaction within that world. So I'm glad that that seems to come across, right? Like I that's a good sign. um, pretty world. It's pretty rare in that world indeed. Gentle space, and also the passion for art is cool. Thanks. That's why when it's my turn at some point for poetry analysis, I don't want compliments. I want the bad things So I'm curious how you approach a poem when you can only be negative. Yeah. Um, I mean, you've probably already noticed you haven't been here in like stream that long, Sleepy Librarian, but I very rarely um, say negative things about poems. Uh, I'm either like noticing things from like an objective, like this is assonance and this is a rhyme, or I'm like complimenting those things. Um, and I think that's because I enjoy that more. And I think it would be interesting, right, to try to like I mean there's the question of like whether there are like bad things to say about art. I think there is some art. There's a small subset of art that if it was sent to stream I would like say negative things, bad things. And that is art that's like hateful and art that is like attempting to hurt people or art that has maybe like fallen into like propagandized mindsets. Um, I would definitely have bad things to say about that stuff. Um, certainly, right? Um, but for most art, like most art is like just well-meaning in general. Um, and I guess like there's also like maybe there's a difference to me between negative and critique. Where like critique is to say something that's like, okay, like you want your poem to be here, and we've established that it's here. So here are some ways to get from here to here. And I don't think that's a negative thing to say either, right? Negative negative is to be like, I'm only going to talk about the things I don't like. Um, and the way that I approach poetry is to find the things I like because that's fun, right? Because I'm not a negative Nelly or whatever. Like, I read something, I look, I guess that means like on a fundamental level, I'm like an artistic optimist, right? Maybe that's my, like, one could arguably construct a philosophy around the way I act that I'm an artistic optimist. Um, say that 5 times fast. You probably end up saying autistic. Artistic optimist, artistic, artistically optimistic, artistic optimistic, um, right? Like that might be my fundamental outlook, but it's interesting to challenge our fundamental outlooks, and it's interesting to take the habits that we fall into, and then try to like take ourselves outside of them and break those things down to grow, right? Because when we like poke at the cracks, um, and I don't know, like it teaches us things. So I'm open to that idea. It would just be very very different. So we'll see, right? We'll see. I think that might be your generational too. I think your generation is very nice. Is my generation very nice? Um, some of us. I think it's always the same, right? Some people are nice and some people aren't. um, I dislike sweeping generalizations and even saying that my generation is nice, even though it's maybe a kind thing to say to my generation, is probably a bit sweeping and generalized for me. Um, there are nice people in my generation. There are not nice people in my generation. Um, right. I think my generation has a lot of school shooters, um, at least in America. We're kind of like the first generation. Maybe millennials are the first generation to like do that, but um, we really like probably mastered that. You know, I don't think that's a very like kind thing to do. Um, as one immediate, simple, surface level rebuttal of your statement. And there are probably other not nice people in my generation too. If I had to guess, I'm probably missing some like obvious choices here. Like Nick Fuentes might be Gen Z. I don't know if he's a millennial. He might be a millennial. I'm not sure. Um, I think maybe your generation is more into considering the peculiarities of people and accepting it. I mean, yeah, the accepting ones in our generation are accepting because we've been raised with more like exposure to like I don't know, like women's rights and feminism, and I think like queerness and acceptance and body positivity and like inclusivity are things that my generation is raised with more so than prior generations, and that's good, right? Um, and not that, um, but that also isn't inherent to everyone. We're very aware, right? We have a lot of information from the internet, as we've discussed earlier on this stream. um, so those who are more aware, who have more context, like everyone has more context and more access to information than the prior. So the good apples are probably better, and the bad apples are probably worse sometimes. And my generation is the same generation that you can see being an ice with red caps. I wish I was younger. Yeah, I think the troubling thing is like a lot of my generation is very hopeless. Um, because we've grown up. There's an ad running soon. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep talking. Um, which is, I mean, I don't want people to miss the conversation, but at least Leon, you don't see the ads. Right, my generation has grown up with, you know, the information overload, right, and the exposure to constant information, the like algorithmic pushing of impossible standards, right? Like every hobby, like you'll see this, right? If you go on like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and you look at like exercise, right? Exercise content. Um, the thing that gets pushed most algorithmically are the people with the most impressive physiques, the hugest people, the 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 algorithm optimizes everything for maximality, right? Um, um, and so even the most mundane things, I think the minds of my generation are like conditioned for this. I mean, you see it in like looks maxing, clavicular, right? Reese can't stay for long. I think we're ending soon anyway, but yeah, good to see you. I've grown up with so much bad and shitty news and horrible sights. Um, Nothing really phases me anymore. Like I saw a beheading at the age of I think I was 8. Yeah. Um, I wrote about. I think I have the exact same line in a piece I wrote on my Substack. Um, that, and I don't know if you're getting ads right now, Sleepy Librarian, but if you are, I'll respond to that again. Um, um, I wrote about the exact same thing in a piece recently that I put on my Substack. Um, that I said like my first memory, right, of the news, of any news, literally my first memory as a human being of the news was a beheading. Um, During like, you know, maybe in Syria, I think. Um, and maybe I'll pull up my little piece. Where's my? There it is. Hold on. Um, Where is this piece I wrote? It was in my piece about a movie. um, okay. Here's the excerpt um from the thing I wrote the other day, right? Not the other day, maybe a month ago. Every so often, some media outlet serves up a deeply shocking image from abroad: dead children in Gaza, shattered cities in Ukraine, a blown up school in Iran, or at home, kids sheltering during a shooting, people living on the street in a 110-degree day, or some grotesque display of American fascism. For a healthy mind, any one of these images should be enough to inspire action and outrage. However, the modern mind has little opportunity to build a healthy relationship with such horrors, if that's possible. My earliest memory of the news is a, thankfully, blurred out video of a journalist being decapitated somewhere in the Middle East. I remember being disturbed and helpless. What's a 9-year old supposed to do about that? I learned to live with it, to push it out of my head. And only through more than a decade of conscious and careful effort, I've mostly unlearned that impulse. If one doesn't fight this avoidance, every tragedy serves to reinforce the feeling of powerlessness so prevalent today and strengthen escapist behaviors. Occasionally, an event is so horrific. Dot 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 dot. Yeah, Sleepy Librarian. Same, right? The news, the growing numb to things, um, is something our generation has had from very young, and I think it's that's maybe not entirely exclusive, right? Like there were people alive, during World War II and during Vietnam and AIDS and like there's been horror all the time, right? But at the same time, like we have it blasted into us um, through the internet, right? And kids in our generation, um, right, see porn on the internet. I don't know when I first saw porn, right? But probably like before I was 10. Um, and that, like that messes you up. That messed me up. Um, like there's gore sites, right? Live Leak existed. Um, I've watched an actual uncensored video of someone's head being cut off, um, and other things like that, right? Um, and that really kind of fucks you up probably, and you get numb to it. Like, and I even remember at the time like watching videos like that, because I wanted to feel something, right? Um, maybe there's maybe that's worth writing about to express that. I don't think I've ever like talked about that. Um, because when you're numb and depressed from everything in the world, and then you go on some like shocking gore site to like watch someone's head get cut off, so you can like feel a little bit, right? Like, it's the same as like self harm, um, and I mean I feel like, right, um, yeah, this this all is maybe why this is so compelling. Like all of these, this like to me maybe this is the issue that I care most about more than anything, um, is the way that the mind is kind of destroyed by the internet and the modern media climate and like the propaganda sphere and the echo chambers that we live in, because I've personally been subject to it. And it's not that that's necessarily like in terms of severity, like worse than the wars that are actively happening in the world, but it is the suffering that I've experienced. Um, and man, I'm glad I'm talking about this. This is actually like, I really want, this is making me want to write about this stuff and express this stuff, which is good. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, so we're about the same age. You're 20. Feeling numb, horrible sights, nothing phases. I will say, I think it's important, the sleepy librarian, to fight the numbness, um, which I mentioned in that piece, to like find a way to still feel. And I think art is an excellent way to do that. I'm still learning how to do that, honestly. I analyze poetry because I'm not very good at expressing through it. um, I always find my poetry really lacks the capacity to like reach the truly expressive part of me that like has like feeling. Um, so I'm still working on that. But I think it's important to not let the numbness win. Um, your kid is 16 this year. She's a bit like Imogen, very quiet, sensitive, and apprehensive to the world she will have to face. Yeah, um, I'd say that's one like an accurate understanding of me. Quiet and sensitive, um, and yeah, somewhat apprehensive. Um, but yeah, just just care for her a lot. I don't know. Um, I think I think the numbness is like the big thing with my generation, and I guess she might even be Gen Alpha. Um, uh, is that yeah? I don't know. Um, just be very caring and attentive. People used to be able to live life not knowing what happens 4 towns down. Yeah, um, that is not possible anymore. Maybe in some very specific places in the world. Um, Makes me sad to see the world my generation built for you. I'll genuinely feel ashamed. I mean, again, you're not your generation, and sort of like those things aren't your fault. And also, this world is still one that like you have some ability to change, probably. I mean, even within your immediate situation, right? Like the world is bad, so take care of your daughter and like make sure that the world doesn't, you know, exact its toll on her, right? And do that for the people most immediately in your life. And if you're doing that well, then find ways to do it for more people, right? Like there's still ways to make a difference for individuals. Um, Big difference is life was harder physically, but now life has become easy for some in Western countries, basically. The global West, right? Um, uh, the West has also made life physically hell for a lot of people. But yes, for those reaping the benefits of a late capitalist consumer society, life is physically easier and mentally harder. I do agree with that. Um, yeah, and it's frustrating that we can't say that like life is easier for everyone physically because like empire exists. Um, but that's okay, and that's not okay. That's just where we are, right? Um, when I was a kid, we were out all the time without supervision and doing bad things and living bad things. Yeah, now we play video games and stuff, Leo, and we like hide in our rooms and shit and like go on TikTok. Um, I had a thing like I was like with some of my friends the other day, um, and um, like we were sitting in a car like hanging out, and then like three of them pulled out TikTok and were just like scrolling, like being like on TikTok in the car. And I don't use a smartphone. Um, and I was just so it was so absurd, um, that like this is and then like one of them would come up for air and like show a TikTok to the rest of the car. Um, right, fucking crazy. Um, like we don't know, and COVID messed up my generation and stuff or whatever. Like, COVID messed me up bad. Um, dude, man, it's funny. It's not funny. I mean, it's sort of curious how I'm like randomly trauma dumping on stream at 10:45 p.m. I usually, I don't know. I mean, my grandpa's an old school farmer and tells me I'm soft. He wakes up every day with only really one goal and one purpose. He doesn't have a phone, TV, or any way to get outside contact. Um, but it's hard to explain to him. Yeah, I mean, it's right. How it's probably hard to understand for him, right? Like, how could you even understand like a world shifting so fundamentally in like the span of one life and like two generations, you know? Um, like if he's in his 90s or something, right? If you said your parents are, six, like maybe he's in his 80s or 90s or older, like, um, right? Then he grew up in the 50s and 60s. Very different. Yeah, life, the world, stuff. Um, yeah, but I think all this stuff is important to feel, no matter what, right? If you feel it, you can either like act on it. If you feel it, you can go do activism. If you feel it, you can make art about it. If you feel it, you can be compassionate for others. That's the terrifying thing about like the modern numbness of the internet is that when you stop feeling, you stop being compassionate. And when you stop feeling, you stop creating and you stop having hope and you stop feeling like you have agency. Um, and I think that's like one of the big motives behind why I stream. Um, right, like obviously I want to like teach people about poetry when I'm doing like the analysis stuff. Um, but like reading a poem deeply is an invitation to feel. It's an invitation to listen. It's an invitation to slow down. Um, and it's an invitation to think critically. Um, like in a sense, like analyzing poetry and talking about poetry, um, has really like fundamentally changed the way I see the world. Um, because it does like it's the spirit of critical thought, analysis, emotion, patience, listening, compassion, right? Um, I think that's why I like really like the underlying forces behind why I do that on stream, because these are things that are, so obviously lacking in modern society. Not that me streaming and talking about poetry will like fix modern society, right? That's absurd. Um, but it could help one person, right? Like feel and be more critical and, um, right? Like that's enough for me. So yeah, that's that stuff. Words. Um, yeah, it's more than I do. Well, I've got 2 years on you, so and even then, it's not a race. Um, we're all in our own spot, right? And we also don't all have to be doing stuff in the same way or in the same capacity. Um, So I don't know. um, I doubt that comparison will help you. I'm not you, the sleepy librarian. You're a sleepy librarian, and I'm a sleepy Imogen. Um, those are different things. And that being said, since I'm sleepy and it's coming at 11 p.m., we are gonna wrap up stream soon for real. Imogen, you're doing fine. You have the right feelings. That's what matters. Yeah, I know I'm doing fine. And I'm like mentally stable more than I've ever been, and I'm like doing stuff, and it seems to help some people. And I'm making art, and I'm like building community in person and online. Like teaching people stuff, and they seem to value it. These are all good things, and I'm like alive, and that's enough. It's enough to be alive, and it's enough to just get to the next day. Um, right? Like people, lives are valuable, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, even I, like, do fall prey to the whole comparison and the maximalism and the like do more, be more, grow the channel more. Okay, you're building community, build more community. Um, but I do a decent job of, I think, fending that off. Yep, in the end, trying to be happy, waiting for your turn, it'll happen. And how it sounds corny, but it really will. Yeah, it's right. It's a day at a time, and if I'm doing good stuff, and I'm, you know, if you're doing good stuff every day, then it has its dividends or whatever. We do be breathing. Ain't that right? That's all you can count on until you can't, and then it doesn't matter. So, um, we do be breathing. Yeah, do be breathing. Be breathing shitty postmodern polluted air. We be breathing in vapes. We breathing in the marijuana, but it's legal. We be breathing in the smell of a dusty typewriter. As long as the air is free. Well, we'll get there someday. Someday. I mean, I think maybe the air will get so polluted, right, that we need to like have some kind of a mask that like helps us breathe to survive. But there's a particular kind of particulate matter in the atmosphere. This is a hypothetical future that needs a very specific kind of ventilation system that needs to like be kind of refreshed, like it has like a cartridge that goes into it, right? So then you need to like um you need to get your breathing battle pass every month, right? And if you don't pay for the respiration battle pass, then you're fundamentally at a disadvantage in the battle royale that is that is the modern world. But if you do have it, you'll be able to work harder to collect more gems, right? And if you work hard enough, you'll hopefully be able to pay for your your battle pass again and have a little bit left over, right? And then you can spend that on other cosmetic upgrades like a new T-shirt. Yeah, yeah, that's the life. That laugh, yeah, that that laugh. Yeah. So I am capable of very evil laughs. especially like when I was mentally unstable. There was this whole thing where like I was having this crash out with a friend and we were on this call and they said something and it just felt so absurd and I just let out this like maniacal cackling laugh and I like came back from it a minute later and they're looking at me like genuinely terrified because I had like left my body in this moment of just pure absurdity and lack of comprehension of like human relationships or something and um we didn't stay friends. Um, is eerily similar to a fantasy story I've written, not this video game coded. Yeah, yeah. My voice is naturally low, so when I laugh, my siblings call me a villain. It doesn't help that I don't laugh too often. It's interesting because I have a low voice when it's down here, right? And I like to talk up here. I prefer to talk up here, especially if I'm talking like quietly. I think it's more appealing um, to be a little higher, a little softer. Um, but I've never had a low laugh. I've never had like the bellowing, like right, like um, I never did that one. And I was also like afraid to laugh as a child because I'm like autistic as fuck and I didn't know how to laugh and I didn't want to laugh most of the time because I didn't know how and I thought my laugh was weird because it wasn't something I was like in control over with my mannerisms. So I just like tried to not laugh and then when I did laugh it was this kind of high shrill like forced out kind of thing. Now I let myself laugh, but definitely sometimes it's kind of weird. Um, yeah. um, we live in a Black Mirror episode, yeah, basically, right? I find it very funny that you guys are 20 something have big low voice, and me twice your age get hello, ma'am, on the phone sometimes. That's funny. Um, that is um, yeah, I mean, that's yeah. I don't know. It's because you're French or something. I don't know what relation that has to do with French, and that feels like an unkind generalization, but I said it, so there you go. It's 3 hours into stream, not 3 a.m. That's 11 p.m. 3 hours into stream. Evil Imogen talking. You're French. Um, I get the comment that my voice doesn't match my face. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole I mean, for me, there's the whole like gender, non-binary, trans component, and I feel like people don't even comment anymore. Like, and I used to really try with the voice stuff. If y'all go look back at like old videos of mine from like a certain time, part of why I streamed was also to like practice like feminine voice training to to like try to practice keeping my voice in a more feminine setting and like really talk like this all of the time on stream, right? And so it's weird because I did this for a time and this was like my voice and this is how I wanted to talk and this is how I felt comfortable talking. And then I stopped doing the voice training, right? But yeah, exhausting. Um, and my voice settled back to somewhere here in the middle, right? This kind of tenory kind of space. But before I ever did any voice training, I was always so relaxed with my voice. I would get comments of dude, like, why do you have so much vocal fry? Like, are you hurting your voice right now? Because I would let it get so relaxed that it would start like it would just fry like all the time. And this is just like where I talked regularly. It was just like vocal fry city. So let me do this like overcorrection. And then landed like somewhere in the middle. So I don't have a voice. I don't know. Like I don't like none like that's not me and that's not me anymore and this isn't really me. I don't know. It's weird. I don't try to say, to like define it or whatever. I feel that I had friends in school that never heard my natural voice. Yeah, I mean there's the question of like what is natural voice because I trained up here for so long that this is where I comfortably speak now, but I used to comfortably speak down here. And this is my like natural voice maybe, but I have to force my voice to do this now. Because like I've trained myself so far out of it. So like is this my natural voice? Like it's sort of a moot point to even try to define it, right? Which is really kind of curious. I find that interesting personally. I don't think natural voice exists because just from this demonstration, I guess it doesn't compute. Um, I think I broke my voice doing voice impersonation during adolescence. So I never got that adult voice. You just kept it high. It's funny. With me nowadays, it depends on like the vibe. If I'm with other people, I heighten my voice to sound kinder. Yeah, I do soften sometimes. And when I'm like like trying to calm someone down, and I'll be like, "It's okay, I'll be here. I'll be very soft." Um, and then sometimes, on stream, like a while into stream, I will just be down here, and that's where it's at. Um, like sometimes on stream, I just sound like man, you know, and then sometimes on stream, I'm here, and then I don't know. So like I don't know what I um and obviously like the way that we choose to present our voice gives a certain image. And we talked earlier about how like I do like the idea of like cultivating a space on my stream that feels calm and gentle and slow. And arguably, if I set my voice, maybe not forcing pitch, but letting it be very quiet, right? Um, just letting it be here, not ever talking fast, not ever like raising my voice too much, even if I talk quick to not let it get boomy, right? Um, like would that, we can intentionally shape the way we're perceived. It's sort of like looks maxing, but it's like voice maxing. Um, and that seems like too much work, right? Like I wouldn't want to do that because it's like mental load. I don't know. On the phone I get, can I talk to your parents, please? Oh, can I talk to your parents, please? Is brutal. That's brutal. I used to have sometimes babysit for some kids in my church, and sometimes they would cry, or like shock and surprise when I spoke. Y'all, that's crazy. That's brutal. Um, yeah, it's messed up. Okay, the stream's actually done. We're done. It's over. Thank you all for your company and conversation. Um, Thank you all for being present and attentive to uh, the revelation of gibberish. And, stay tuned for more poetry in this vein. Because this may very well have been me stumbling upon um, what I do for my first collection of poetry, um, my first work, because this really seems like a vessel for all of the things that I really care about talking about, and don't always have the right words for, um, uh, in normal poetry, right? Um, this this framing gives me words um, that I don't normally have, which is interesting. But we'll see. Maybe I'll never do it again. Maybe it'll fade into obscurity like all my other ideas for everything that I've ever done in my life. And and we'll just be back to the norm, back to the day to day, back to the poetry analysis streams, and who knows? Thank you all so much for watching. Keep making art you love and keep fucking breathing. And don't let the numbness win. Bye. Wait, there's a button I'm supposed to press. That one. Good job learning to be a mod. Okay, bye.